So, can we take like 5 minutes just to talk about this starting lineup debacle from Hasbro and how they royally effed this up? I wanted to talk about the fact that, number one, as much as I enjoy watching these guys play, Hasbro, if you wanted to sell starting lineup like basketball players, understand, don't sell players that half the country hates. I think that's the main key. It's like, I have friends all across the political spectrum. I have friends who are conservative. I have friends who are liberal. And my conservative friends hate the NBA right now. They freaking hate it. So if you were going to do a starting lineup, which is a great idea, splendid idea, number one, you should have done the older players. I think that's the main thing you could take away from all this, is that you needed to do the older players like Jordan, Pippen, Karl Malone, John Stockton, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Clyde Drexler, Charles Barkley, Dennis Rodman. I'm sure even in a Dennis Rodman pack you can include the wedding dress from his book signing. If you don't know that reference, look it up. It's out there. Oh my God, there's so many. Hakeem Olajuwon, you Shaq, Kobe. There's a million players, like not a million, but there's hundreds of players you could have used for this. Bill Russell, John Havlicek, Dr. J. I can keep going forever and ever. Moses Malone. I can keep going on and on and on and on. Like, what? Pistol Pete. You could have used, he could have used, was it Mark Price? You could have used, oh my God, there's so many players you could have used other than the ones you chose. Like the current players, I'm sorry, they're very good. They're very good players. Curry is probably the greatest shooter of all time, but Reggie Miller would make more sense and probably be cheaper. There's so many. Chris Mullin, same team. Chris Mullin, Patrick Ewing. There's all these amazing players you could have used for the starting lineup, and you chose current players. And I think that was a terrible choice. They should have went with older players, because let's be honest here, the older players have an allure to them. The older players have a draw, because people like me, we would get nostalgic about Magic Johnson. We would get nostalgic about Larry Bird. We would get nostalgic about Jordan, Pippen, Rodman. We would get nostalgic about Hakeem Olajuwon. We would get nostalgic about all of these players. The current players aren't that kind of draw anymore, because the NBA's ratings suck. Like, let's be honest here. The NBA's ratings are so freaking bad, and you decided to use the players that embody the reason, the rationale why the ratings stink. Like, you could have used like Dirk Nowitzki. There's so many other players you could have used. Use the retired players. This starting lineup of active players is a shit show. And you could tell because they lowered the price. It's a shit show. If you would have used older players, like you could have just gone with the 90s, man. You could have just gone with the Dream Team. Go with the Dream Team lineup, and you could have easily made bank on this shit. If you would have got them in the old Dream Team jerseys, like the old USA jerseys, you could have made bank on this. Oh my God. You'd have made so much freaking money. But they decided to go with current players, and that in itself is a major flaw. On top of that, in the package for $50, you get a stand, basically a flight stand. Basically a flight stand that comes with all the flying McFarlane figures for $20. Let me say that again. McFarlane figures, flight stands, cost $20. These guys cost $50. And I know, people are like, oh, you know, they got to pay the licensing fees to Nike, to the players for their images, to the teams for their jerseys and their colors, blah 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 blah. This is why you should have used older players, because the older players would have been cheaper and they also would have been marketable. Can you imagine if you could get the starting lineup for the the 98 Bulls? Can you imagine that? The year that year they set the record before Golden State broke their record. That team, can you imagine that? You can get that starting five as a bulk set. People would be jumping out of the windows to buy that. Or you can get the Rockets that won in 96, that 96 Rockets team, or even next year with Clyde Drexler, that next year. People have been jumping out the window for that shit. Or you can get the Bird, McHale, Parrish starting five, Dennis Johnson. You can get those, you can get that starting five of the Celtics from the 80s. Or you can get the Jabbar, Magic, you know, like you can get that starting five from the 80s for the Lakers. Yo, people will be jumping out the window for that shit. But of course, Hasbro gotta be Hasbro. And that's why they've cut the price down to $29.99. That's why the price is now $29.99. Because whoever at Hasbro had the vision that the current players make sense, I hope in the firing process, that fool got fired, because this is some bullshit. Yeah, I mean, listen, you would have done the Dream Team, just the Dream Team, that first Dream Team. If you'd have done that, these things would be flying. You couldn't stock them fast enough. If you told me the starting five of the Dream Team, or just any of those members of that team, any of them would have been available $50, shit yeah. I would have bought a Jordan and Pippen. I would have bought a Drexler. I would have bought a Barkley, a Bird. I would have bought them. I would have bought them at $50, because that's the basketball I grew up loving. This new one, I mean, it's fun to watch, but like it's just not the same. It's not the same. There's a reason why people feel like basketball is kind of off. You remove all the political stuff from it. Remove that for a second. The game is off now. It was like it's just not the same game. It's not basketball. It's kind of like freeze tag. It's like you just kind of tap people. There's no like aggression in it. There's no like, it doesn't feel like a masculine sport. It feels like just a sport where people just shoot from half court now. Like seriously, when big men are shooting threes, they're not down in the paint like pounding dudes, like, you know, just abusing people like Shaq used to do, just abusing people that guard them. You know, the game's changed. It ain't the same game. So like sitting there, what are you going to do with a Steph Curry figure? You're just going to sit there, put him like 100 feet away from a basket and like, you know, let him shoot it? Like, yeah, like it's talent. Don't get me wrong. It's talent, but it ain't the same. It ain't the same. Steph Curry back in the 90s would have got a shoulder to his face and then it would have been a wrap from all that 3-point shooting nonsense. But like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. This is my thoughts on this. Why this is now $29. It probably should be less than that because of what you get. Because I've seen some people complaining about these, and they're just like, it's just not good. And quality doesn't feel right. It just doesn't feel right. But anyway, let me let you know. Let me know what you think. Have you purchased any of these? Are you interested in purchasing any of these? Is the new price now kind of like lending you, like drawing you towards it? Let me know what you think in the comments. Anyway, with that said, make sure you check out the community tab, because I post pre-orders, I post deals as I find them, and I post restocks as they come across my way. Also, make sure you check out the Amazon affiliate link in the description. If you need to buy anything from Amazon, just click on that link, buy away, and it's a great way to support the channel, and you don't have to do anything extra. And with that, be safe, be good, and this is the Drunken Prime, cracking open another beer and signing off.